All right, welcome back to another episode of the Scuttlebutt Podcast. Today we have a very special show. I've been waiting for this for months. I've been bugging Mr. Scheller for a while, and he was busy with book signings and all kinds of stuff. But before we get started, I want to thank all of our Patreon members, our show sponsor, Proven Valor. Without you guys, we couldn't do what we do. And just a reminder, we don't pocket any of that money that comes in. All the money goes right into the nonprofit that we started. And good news on that, I'm in talks with the Detroit Lions. I am looking at getting season tickets for next year. So what our goal is with Mr. Scheller, just so you know, what our nonprofit does is we send veterans and first responders to sporting events. We're at the ground level right now. We're just getting started with that part. But when I started this podcast, it started picking up traction, and we actually won an award recently for best Navy podcast. Actually, it was a national award. But so Patreon members start climbing on, and I felt weird profiting from people's war stories. So that's not what we're about. So what I did was I took that money, I hired a CPA, started a nonprofit. And so all that money is going to go right back into the veteran community. And we're going to send veterans and first responders to sporting events. And I can't wait to do that for the first time. So with that said, today we're sitting here with Mr. Stu Scheller. I'm pretty sure that you've heard of him. He's been in the news quite a bit in the last year or so. And I can't wait to hear his story. Before we get started, there's a couple of notes that I have that I would like to talk about. You have a Bronze Star, Army Commendation Medal for being in the Marine Corps. You have a master's degree in military science from, is that VMI that you went to?
No, the master's is from the Marine Corps University. It's
Marine Corps.
Advanced Staff Colleges. I got through that.
That's awesome. And so obviously there's Kabul that we're going to hit. Your book, you have a book that just recently came out, so we have a lot to talk about. Welcome. Would you like to introduce yourself, sir?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Excited to be on. Sorry it's taking me so long to get on.
It's all good.
But yeah, my name's Stu, 17-year Marine Corps infantry officer. Deployed all over the place, Iraq, Afghanistan, amongst my deployments. And yeah, I commanded at the platoon, company, battalion level. And I was thrusted into the media after my 17-year career when August 26th of 21, I made a video questioning and challenging my senior military leaders to accept accountability for a poorly executed plan. And after a series of escalating events, it resulted in me kind of getting my mental health challenged, ended up going to solitary confinement. I agreed to a deal at a special court-martial, resigned short of my retirement, moved on, went on a bunch of media shows to tell my side of the story. Then I wrote a book to continue to try to communicate my side of the story and why I think the military has gone off the tracks. And now, that book tour is kind of winding down and waiting to see after this holiday season, what I'm going to be when I grow up. So that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's
that's pretty good.
That is concise. Good. You must really felt it in your heart to go against brass, knowing that you're going to lose 17 years of your life. You lost your retirement, all your benefits, and everything. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Man, that's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, I'm not a victim. I knew what I was doing. I understood the ramifications of it. And there's a lot of opportunities in front of me as well. So I made a choice. I made a tough choice. I thought I couldn't remain complicit in the system. I joined the military to leave a better America for my children, not to have a retirement or a title or career stability. I think the adage of stay within the system until you can get to a place where you can make change is flawed logic. I think over time, the system changes you into the very thing you're trying to prevent. And at certain points, when your values come into conflict with the system, you have to be brave enough to stand against it. I think there's a lot of military members out there that are more willing to run towards a machine gun nest and experience combat than they are to give up their retirement or their title or their career stability. And when
Right.
it comes to moral courage, I just think often we fall short in many ways because of the systemic failures of the military and the promotion system, and how it forces you to please your boss, and it weeds out moral courage because those people that do have it stand against their bosses are not there at the end of the day. And the people that are still standing there after 40 years are people pleasing, morally courageous, bankrupt people that don't stand for American values when they should be.
Yeah. Before we go any farther, I just want to say, man, I commend you what you did, because if I was ever to go back in the military, I was in the Navy, by the way, that is the exact leader that I would want to be working for. Somebody that has my back, So I really do commend you for that. That was, that was brave. I don't think I would have had the backbone to do something like that, to be honest with you.
I definitely wouldn't have been able to do that at all.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, guys.
Hey, Stu, can I jump in with one question before you get started?
Yes.
Stu, during your career in the Marine Corps, in our Marine Corps, because I was 3rd Battalion, 8th Marines, hoorah. That's right. What's your most memorable experience that you had from the Marine Corps?
Man, there's so many, it's like,
there's a lot. I know it's a lot to choose from. It's very vague.
Are you in the mood for action? I think when, Afghanistan was a lot for me. I missed the birth of my first child. And so I was at EWS when they gave me my Bronze Star and my Army Commendation with Valor, and my ex-wife and my brand new son were there. And the colonel that presented it just did a really good job of going through the citation, made me feel good about myself. And that was a high moment for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to study up on you, so I wanted to seem somewhat intelligent.
He's a stalker.
I read that I read that you've done a couple Muse.
I have done
so. My question is, as a sailor, I ask everybody this: are you a shellback?
You might say that again.
Are you a shellback?
Nah, we never crossed the line.
All right, let the hazing begin.
The Muse of my time were go to CENTCOM and do stuff. The Muse of back in the day, the shellback was like the gem. And I think it is again. But in my window of Muse, I mean, it was get to the fight as quickly as you can. And that was the shellback prize, if you will.
Yeah.
Man, that was good time, the shellback ceremony. Colonel McClam was my CO when we went through on the USS Kearsarge, and
I did a deployment on the Kearsarge. I did 10 months on that thing.
I was there for 7. The best gym and the best chow hall on the planet. I swear to God.
I can't go that far, but okay.
What MEU were you on? Which one were you on, Stu?
I did the 2-4 MEU on the USS Whidbey Island, and I did the 2-6 MEU on the Kearsarge.
I did the 2-2 MEU on the Kearsarge. 2-6 MEU. Was 3-8 with you?
No, I was part of 3-2 then.
Okay. Good to go.
So your transition out of the Marine Corps, what kind of struggles did you face? I know because a lot of people, when they're removed from either the Marine Corps or the Navy, there's always a struggle there. Did you find that you had a struggle?
Yeah, I mean, my situation's a little unique, so
yes.
I'll offer to you using me as a template is probably misguided, but still, just like anyone, there's absolutely a moment where it's like, oh my gosh. And my whole life I've known what was next. And so, whether I was in grade school, high school, college, Marine Corps, I always at least knew what the next thing was. And this last year of my life, there's been no one other than myself guiding what I'm going to do. And it's been trying to get comfortable with the uncomfortable, the unknown. It's been very different for me. You couple that with, not only did I exit the military unexpectedly, I went through a divorce, like probably the 2 of the hardest things. And then I had to move too. Right. So like my whole life, it was just like, we shook it up. But I've stayed very busy. I hit, as soon as I got out Christmas Eve last year, January and February, March was in the media, and all I was doing was traveling around and hitting the media circuit.
Yeah.
And then I wrote a book for 2 months. So I literally like 8 to 8 was in a secluded place by myself, just writing. And then I got about 2.5 months off. I took a vacation with my kids in that time. I got all my stuff out of personal storage. I found a place. And so it was like 2.5 months of like, find a doctor, find a dentist, get your life in order.
Yeah.
And then the book came out, and then I was back on the road, and I've been on the road up until Thanksgiving. This is a week after Thanksgiving.
Right.
So my life has been fifth gear almost this entire year that I've been out. And like I said, it'll probably be just as fast. I've gave myself Thanksgiving till first week of January to chill out a little bit because I've been on the road so much. It can be an exhausting experience. And then, you know, all the administrative things of your life that you got to get back in order. And so I think most people struggle when they get out because they lose that sense of purpose. And so how you replicate that purpose is probably the biggest challenge for people. And so I've just told myself I was going to make sure that I stayed, whatever it was, purpose-driven, found something I was passionate about and stayed involved in it. And you can define that. It should be different for every person. For me, I'm passionate about America, foreign policy, leaving a better future for my kids. And you can do that. And I don't have to answer how I'm good, but it's just, and that's how I've done it.
Right on. So, if I ask you a personal question, you don't want to answer it, just say next or something. But I was going to ask you, your divorce, was that due to your separation from the Marine Corps and everything that too much coming down on her, she couldn't handle it, or was that something else?
No, I mean, I was with her for 17 years. We had a really good relationship, I feel like. There's no infidelity or anything weird, or we weren't really fighting before my incident. And the incident was tough on everyone. When I was in jail, my kids were leaving the playground crying because people were heckling them that their dad was in jail. And it just was one of those things where I was making decisions for the family that wasn't including her. And ultimately, I think we would have stayed together, but she saw the trajectory of my life. You know, for 17 years, all I've been doing is deploying here, gone, here, gone, here, gone. Yeah. And she was thinking in 3 years on the horizon, we were going to be together on a steady job, learning how to play golf in retirement. And she saw the trajectory of my life was what I'm doing now, traveling, going for things, not around. And that's not what she wanted. And so it was one of those things where we agreed to go different ways. You know, I wouldn't say anything bad about her. We still hang out. In fact, this weekend I'm doing a class with kids, right? Like, we still do stuff amicable, but yeah, we did go forward with the divorce.
Well, that's good.
I'm sorry, man.
Yes.
It was tough, no doubt. I'm not trying to minimize it. It's tough for everybody, but that's how it played out.
Well, I still see all the your Marine Corps memorabilia behind you, so I still see that you still love the Marine Corps.
Yeah, I mean, I never didn't, right? It was always everything I did was born out of love. It just I thought what I was doing was for the betterment of the organization. Yeah,
for sure.
Now, Stu, where did you go to high school? Where did you go to college? I mean, before the Corps.
Yeah, I was a Cincinnati, Ohio kid, so back here now. But I went to high school at a place called Anderson High School, it was a public school, and then graduated from the University of Cincinnati with an accounting degree.
Are you a fan of Skyline Chili as much as I am?
Of course.
Good. That's very good to hear.
I've ate it only a million times since I've been home.
I love Skyline. I swear, it's the only thing Ohio got right. I'm sorry. No offense.
Well, I'm from Michigan, so usually Michigan and Ohio people kind of butt heads, you know.
You guys had a big win the other weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about your Bronze Star. How did you earn your Bronze Star?
That was for a mission. It was a mounted patrol down a known IED route. Route clearance patrol was out front, and an infantry company was behind route clearance patrol. And I was working with route clearance patrol, so I did what we called walk the rails. And so I and two other guys got on one side of the road, and then three other guys got on the other side of the road. And our mission was to push forward of the mounted patrol to try to flush out anyone that would be connecting, initiating devices to IEDs. And we did, in fact, find somebody initiating an IED. So it was like this moment where the guy was initiating it, and we kind of came out. He saw us, we saw him, and he quickly skirted away. Well, when he skirted away, he went on the opposite side of the road from where I was at. So the three guys that were on his side started chasing him. So me and the other two guys started running down this side of the road. Well, that guy, the enemy who was fleeing, crossed the road at some point. We didn't know it. So I'm running through all these alleyways. And it was one of those situations where like he came around the corner, I came around the corner, and we were like both face to face and both like lift our guns and try to shoot each other. And somehow you both missed each other from like 3 feet away. And so we got cover, he got cover. We played peekaboo, shoot back and forth at each other around the corner. And then what he was trying to do when he was initiating that IED, they were planning a complex ambush. So what they wanted to have happen was the patrol hits the IED and then all the machine guns open up. And so once we started getting into that firefight with that guy, the RP guys all on their machine guns realized like the gig was up. And so they started shooting their machine guns at us instead of the amount of patrol. And at this point, we didn't have the cover of our machine guns based on the angle and the buildings that were in between us. And so we were, I was only with 2 other guys, and you're pinned down from multiple machine guns and the guy we were trying to kill. I ended up killing the guy that was shooting at us, and it's crazy because there's gunfire everywhere. So I basically started chasing these other guys. And then all of a sudden at one moment, I realized I was like 200 meters beyond even the guys that I was with, who was another like 400 meters beyond the mounted patrol. And I was kind of out there by myself. And what I ended up being able to do, I kind of panicked. I backed off a little bit because I didn't want to get so separated that I was almost a detractor, vice an enhancer of the fight at that point. And so I was able, the infantry company during this whole thing, this whole process that I just described took on like 20, 30 minutes. It didn't happen real quick. And so as soon as that firefights happened, the mounted infantry dismounted and looped around. And so I was able to then communicate with them, get them up into the fight, direct them onto the enemy. And long story short, the route clearance platoon ended up finding 7 IEDs right there.
Damn.
And so we were able to disarm all the IEDs. We foiled the ambush. We killed some guys. We pushed them back. And so, successful tactical mission on that day.
Yeah. I can imagine how many Americans you saved that by doing that one day. That's pretty amazing.
It was a good day. There's a lot of bad days. That was a good one.
Yeah. So you said you killed the guy. So I know he was a bad guy and you're there to kill bad people, but does it still bother you knowing that you killed a human being?
No. I mean, that guy was shooting me. Like,
right, I know.
I'm not thinking about it. I understand the guilt if you're like shooting, you hit a kid, all that. Like, I got it. Yeah. But like for me personally, if you're shooting at me, like I take pleasure in the fact that I was a better shot and I watched your head explode.
Yeah. So I think if that was me, I think that probably would ruin my life if I saw somebody's head squirt.
Right, yeah, you should see my hard drive, Fleek. I've got plenty from 3rd Platoon.
Well, there's a reason why I joined the Navy and not the Marine Corps.
Stu, were you in Ramadi in 2006 at all?
I got there in 7.
Okay, because okay, so we left.
And quite honestly, even though it was a year different, it was a lot different of a fight. So the Al Anbar awakening happened spring of 07. Yeah. And so I ripped 2-5. I was 1-8. And 2-5's beginning of their deployment was what you experienced in 06. Yeah. And by the end of the deployment, it had dried up a lot. So my Ramadi was not the wild, wild west of your 06 Ramadi. My Ramadi was like long spats of nothing. And then all of a sudden, the suicide vest would take some of us out, right?
I heard some about that. Scott Husing is a good friend of mine, and I think they came in after us. Is that right? With 3-4.
I know Scott. I've got his book, but I don't remember what year he was there.
Yeah, that's good. Man, you've just seen a lot, sir. You've just seen a lot.
So I have a question. So you have a master's degree in military science, which that is pretty damn impressive to me. So how do you fight an enemy that's not wearing a uniform? Everybody's just mingled in together in a town.
Yeah, I mean, what's Stuart Scheller's opinion? Stuart Scheller's opinion is that foreign policy needs more realism injected to it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, pick your conflict. Let's use Afghanistan. In Afghanistan, when we came in, we had the ability, we went in there to destroy terrorism, was what Congress approved for the contingency mission.
Yep.
They don't declare war anymore, so they voted on a something else. Let's go in there and the global war on terrorism, even though they didn't declare war. So we go in there, and Task Force 58, led by General Mattis, had the ability to kill Osama bin Laden in the Tora Bora region. They did not. It wasn't really Mattis's fault on that one. That was Rumsfeld, who had an affinity for special forces, or maybe he had other initiatives through all the other et cetera, et cetera. But that's it, and that's clear hindsight. Osama bin Laden, he disappears into Pakistan, and very quickly, like within the first year, we mop up all Al Qaeda players dead. And so then it's like, well, what are we doing? Then what happened was we drove the Taliban into Western Pakistan. We weren't willing to go into Pakistan, even though George Bush said that we wouldn't make a distinction between the countries. Government of Afghanistan. And so they weren't terrorists by the definition of the word. Terrorist is a non-state actor. We drove them into Pakistan. So does that make them terrorists? I don't think it does. We may not agree with their way of governing. Their morals are obviously very different, but they weren't terrorists. So then it's like, what were we doing? And we got caught in this long mission of, well, we didn't kill Osama bin Laden, and now we drove the Taliban at, so let's build a sustainable government. And that's where it goes off the tracks for me. And, so that's the Afghanistan failures. And then even a decade later, in 2012, we kill Osama bin Laden finally in Pakistan. Yeah. And still we decide, since we've already been here a decade, let's just stay and keep trying to build a sustainable government. Iraq is similar, not quite the same. We went into Iraq without much of a plan. I mean, we don't hold these general officers accountable. So I forget what the guy's name was, like Peter Brenner, the guy that they put in charge of the Iraq coalition. And he just basically said all the Sunnis that were part of the Saddam government are no longer part of the government. And he just overnight turned the entire legitimate force of Iraq into terrorists. Like, no, now we're fighting terrorists. Well, they're not terrorists. They were the government, and you just turned them into terrorists through bad policy. And then again, it's like, well, what are we doing? Well, let's build a sustainable government. Let's stay here and let's figure this out while we're on. So, and we did the same thing in Vietnam. I mean, so these aren't new lessons that we should be learning. And so it's just very frustrating. And we put these people like Mattis and Petraeus on these pedestals. They haven't won anything. And they made their hype off this counterinsurgency. And if you go back and actually look at the record book, they didn't win anything. Mattis resigned very publicly because President Trump wanted to pull out of Syria. ISIS materialized because of Mattis's failed policies in Iraq. Like, the irony was so sickening. And, so you asked me in the beginning, this is a long-winded answer. You asked me in the beginning what I would do. I am a realist. So the purpose of war is to inject violence at a time and place of our choosing to compel our enemy to do what we want. So in Afghanistan, hey, you just committed the World Trade, September 11th. I'm just going to simply state, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. We're going to come into Afghanistan, and I'm going to kill everyone that had anything to do with it. And those people that are standing next to those people, I'm going to kill them too. And then I'm going to leave, and you're going to clean up the mess. And when it happens again, I'm going to come in and I'm going to do it again. And that's how I would run it. And it's very cost efficient and it's effective. But the moral obligations are where this argument starts getting really cloudy. But I just don't believe, and that's more moral, how Afghanistan years or what I just described. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, I agree 100%, man. If you kill one American, I'm going to kill 100 of you. That's the only thing that's going to.
I will go. I think the response needs to be proportional. But I'm not saying that I wouldn't end up killing 100, but there needs to be a proportional response. And sometimes diplomacy, information, economic, these other national sources of power aren't effective. And so there's
yeah.
We in Ramadi, I remember a captain, he told us, if it moves, kill it. And we did. We had a very sporty summer. And we lost a lot of guys, but we also did some good for that city. I think we did. Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, yeah.
There was the platoon I took over in one day and got back from Fallujah. And before talk about a battle generation where literally they started the southern part of the city, and that's what they said. If you see it, kill it. I mean, talk about like inside. There's no like if it moves, I want you to kill it. And I mean that's so there were parts of that were very intense.
I think Captain Getz said it to us. Yeah. I don't know if you know Captain Getz. He taught at TBS for a little bit. You probably know Captain Getz or Major Getz or whatever his name is. Sorry, see, Stu, he knows everybody that I ever served on. I know he did. I know he knows Neary. I know he knows Odom. I know he knows Sinclair. He knows Berger. I mean, Berger, I got to 3-8 when Berger and Neary did their changeover. So, yeah.
St. Clair was actually my muse commander for one of those muses we were talking about.
Get out of town. Small world, man. Small world.
I mean, it's a small Marine Corps.
Yeah, hey, actually, Stu, that's a really good question. What do you think about the Force Design 2030 that's going on? He's frozen.
Yep, he got froze.
Dang.
Yeah, the FD 2030. I mean, I don't get caught in that debate. I think it has some utility. Okay. But I'll give you my opinion. FD 2030 is General Berger's theory for how we're going to fight in the future. And it's very Anglo-Co, if you know what that means. It's a small fire support team, higher technology, more self-sufficient teams, right? That's his vision for fighting in the future. And the truth is, the one thing that we have gotten wrong every single time is predicting the next fight. So my theory is the military always needs to be adaptable. So the question is, FD 2030 adaptable? That's debatable. That's the debate that's happening. You know, like once you take tanks away, you do lose some adaptability. But he may get it right. My concern with the whole conversation is that it's a strictly tactical level conversation. We are not failing on the tactical level. We have always succeeded on the tactical level. Where we have failed every war since World War II is the scene between the National Security Council and the 4-star general combatant commander level. And FD 2030 doesn't do anything to address that because it can't, because it's strictly a service initiative. And right now the general officers aren't talking about where we're actually failing. And so it seems like, you know, based on your question, and I read all the articles and all the generals want to talk about like that, the tactical level. And it frustrates me actually, because who knows if that's right? We'll see. But that's not why we're losing. And that's not what we're talking about, unfortunately.
No, thank you for answering that question. I wanted to get your insight on FD 2030 because I think it's wrong. I don't think they should be forcing anybody out or drawing anything down because we are the best fighting force in the world and we don't need to be less. We need to be more. Yeah. And, you know, and Berger, he took away my battalion. He took away 3-3. He took away 2nd tanks, 1st tanks. I mean, he's talking about taking out LAR, and I think that's a huge mistake. But that's just me. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've never had a conversation with David Berger. I've listened to him speak a couple times. What I'll say is I know why he did it. I don't think General Berger himself would argue that tanks, LAR, 3.8, 3.3. Is there utility in them? Yes, he would say yes. The reason he did it is fiscal. The budget, the personnel budget was sucking up too much of his slice of the DoD budget. And so sometimes leaders have to make tough decisions. And so he's making decisions based on the budget and what's sustainable. And then you got the rising cost of technology. But, I'm with you. Like the Marine Corps bought the F-35 at a ridiculous price tag.
Yep.
You could have got, and the Marine Corps shouldn't be focused on something like the F-35. So there are ways in the budget to have done this more effectively, which General Berger didn't do. And so I don't agree with all of his moves, but I just to say that, there's utility in tanks. Like, oh, of course there are. David Berger thinks there are. That's not why he got rid of him. He got rid of him because he's making fiscal decisions based on sustainability. But my counter to that would be there's probably better, effective ways to do that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for being so candid.
Yeah.
And don't worry, 3-8 will be back when there's another one. We've been dismissed 5 times now. So every time there's a war coming out, 3-8 will be back.
Marines would speak louder than you because 3-8's around longer than they are.
1941, sir. 1941.
Oh, right. Hey, your book. How's your book doing?
Yeah.
It did really well. It was a bestseller, USA Today, Wall Street Journal.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been out for 5 months now, 4-ish, something like that. And so it's exceeded all expectations. It's probably one of those things now where it's just going to be like a steady faucet of, however many it sells per week. But I think it accomplished what I wanted it to. I hope it sticks around for a while.
So
it is what it is.
What are some takeaways about writing your book that you could give to our viewers?
You want to write a book? Discipline and solitude. That's all you need.
Discipline. Did you hire somebody to help you write the book, or you just knew how to write a book?
Yeah, that's a good question. So this is a good story. I didn't know, anyone that's writing a book, we all got a story. I got it. I'm a pretty good writer. And so at first was just like, I'm gonna write it myself. And then I kind of got talked into using a ghostwriter. So I paid $15,000 to this company to ghostwrite it. And I went through, they helped me format it. And I went through the audio recordings of each chapter. And then they submitted me the written form, and the written form they gave me was garbage. And so just on the introduction alone, I went back and forth with the guy 8 times. And then after that, I wrote it myself. So I did write it myself, and I did still pay $15,000 to a ghostwriter, but I don't think the exercise of me paying the ghostwriter was bad, because I think just going through the audio recording process and having them help me shape the structure of it, and then getting written feedback back to then start there and then write my chapter was still helpful to me. So I guess, kind of a hybrid, if you will.
Yes. So when are you going to be in Nashville to do a book signing?
That's a huge question. Awesome question, Blake. Awesome question.
I've been in Tennessee quite a few times, guys, but I haven't done any book signings. To your point, it's all been media. They've got a lot of media in Tennessee.
Oh, a lot, especially Nashville. Yes, sir.
But yeah, I'd be happy to. We got to work it out. But yeah, you hit me up. You get the venue, and you can promise me 20 to 30 people. Then I'll advertise on my social media, and I'll get out there.
Operation Stand Down, right there. We could fill that hall. I swear, we could fill it. And you probably, I don't know if you know Matthew Wiz Buckley, but he charges quite a lot to speak.
Matt Buckley?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know him?
Is he a stout dude?
Yeah, he just had an interview with Marcus Luttrell, No Fallen Heroes, Lieutenant Commander, Navy. Yeah,
he's a Navy fighter pilot.
Oh, no, different guy. I know Marsoc Buckley.
Oh,
were you part of Marsoc at all?
I was. It's misleading a little bit. So I was a battalion XO there, but I'm not a badged Marsoc guy. So I was just a straight leg infantry guy, and then the battalion XO, the battalion commanders were badged guys, but the battalion XOs didn't need to be badged guys. They actually wanted the just regular infantry experience for the XO position. So I was a battalion XO for a year.
And that was what, 2007, 2008?
No, that was much later. That was a battalion XO. I was major, so that was 2019 to 20 actually.
Okay. Damn.
So I have a question. So when you were in college, do officers have recruiters just like enlisted people do?
Yeah.
And
we call them monitors, but yeah, we do.
Okay, it's basically like the same thing. I got you.
Were you in a fraternity?
I wasn't. I had a house in college where I had 300 people that spent the night every night, so might as well.
Yeah, that's a fraternity house right there.
Yeah, perfect. But I did not have any Greek letters or pay any money per month.
That's okay. I paid for my friends in college, and it didn't really work out because I don't talk to any of them right now. So don't join a fraternity, okay? Because you're not going to talk to them 20 years later. That's for all you guys out there in La La Land.
Yeah. Well, I didn't go to college, so I went to college, but I didn't never finish. So I started having babies, and I was like, I can't have babies and pay to work full time and go to school. Doesn't work out too well.
When do you go to TBS, Stu?
As a student, I was there in the middle of 2005, but I went back and served as an instructor there for 3 years. That was 15 to 18.
Nice.
Were you on the East Coast and the West Coast, or just the East Coast?
Just I was East Coast. I ping-ponged Lejeune and Quantico my whole career.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I was just up in Quantico. Had lunch with McClam like 3 months ago, who is now the commanding officer of TBS, if you didn't know that. Little Reggie, little cute little Reggie.
So what do you do if like Hollywood comes knocking at your door and they want to turn your story into a movie?
I don't know. I'd be hesitant, to be honest with you. I don't it would have to be done the right way. And right now the movie is not really my focus. Because in a lot of ways it may hurt me in some ways, depending on how it's done. So I would be open to it, and then I would have to look at it. It wouldn't be an automatic yes.
Yeah. We have a Marine buddy that Hallmark's doing a movie on right now.
That's cool.
He was second LAR long time ago. He was 2001 Push of Nazarene. So that's his claim to fame.
Right on.
Yeah. He's
and he always reminds us of it.
I would too. I'm sure that was.
I know, dude. That was some hardcore stuff right there. I was just graduating college in 2001.
Yeah, I was only a year into college in 2001.
How old are you, Stu?
41.
You don't mind me asking?
41.
41.
You sounded surprised.
Well, you look a lot younger, man. You do. You look a lot younger. You don't look 41. You look like 36. I swear to God.
I appreciate that.
You just look young. I mean, you don't. Yeah, I don't know. Usually, and lieutenant colonels are like
we don't age
supposed
well.
to be like 50.
In the infantry, we don't age well usually. So yeah, I'll give you that.
You know, I mean, oh God, lieutenant colonels are supposed to be like, 47, 48, and 49, right? Like, and you were not.
I actually, so I was at the basic school, like I told you, 15, 18. And at the basic school, they do, like, for lack of a better term, class reunions. And so there was this group of 68, the year 68, when these guys went through and they all came to the basic school. And I, as the major that worked in the shop at the time, was supposed to give them like here's what we do with training at lieutenants at the basic school now, right? And so they all get off this bus, this MCU bus, and I'm helping them into the auditorium, and I'm holding the door. They're all got like walkers, and they're all like old. Holding the door for them. This guy looks at me and he's like, "Majors were a lot older when I came through here," and I'm like holding the door, and I was like, "Are we getting younger or are you getting older?" And his wife thought that was so funny, and she's laughing, and yeah, so that's my comeback now. People say I look young, but I've gotten it a couple times, so I appreciate it.
Damn, are you working out, still PTing, running, all that stuff?
I have to. That's like mental health wise. I struggle with anxiety, and if I don't work out, it gets bad.
Are you anywhere near Hillsborough, Ohio?
I'm in Cincinnati. So
Hillsborough is like what, 2 hours north of you?
Yeah.
There is a great place up there called Save a Warrior. I went through it. It saved my life. It's a warrior detox. Jay Clark, he runs it. I'll be up there in January, seeing one of my guys go through. And I don't know, saved my life. Haven't taken meds in a year, and it's kind of streamlined my thinking and my process. I don't know. If you want any information, let me know. I will definitely gladly give that to you, sir.
I appreciate it. Save a Warrior. Got it. Followed it away.
It's Yeah, it's 72 hours and it's a detox. It's for firefighters, local Leos, EMTs, and veterans. It's really good. It saved my life.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out how we can get 30 people together so we can get him down here to do a book signing.
Dude, come on, man. We send everybody from the VFW and everybody. There's 2 of them in Nashville. We'll just send them. By the way, Stu, are you in the VFW?
I am actually. Yeah, I am I paid the $400 to be a lifetime member.
Yeah.
Good for you, sir, because you're talking to a past commander and a current commander of the VFW right now. And
yeah, I signed up. I signed up in North Carolina, and it was a bunch of almost Vietnam vets, and I went to one in Ohio, and it was awesome because it was like the French lead was my age. Everyone in there was my age, so it's cool to see when there's some youth places because sometimes they can kind of get stale, if you will.
No, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Our average age for our post is 43 years old.
That's
so
great.
We're a young post. And did you join the Surf City, North Carolina post?
I was Emerald Isle.
Emerald Isle, yes. Okay. Yeah, I know the department commander of North Carolina, and Emerald Isle, Surf City. They got they're okay posts, but I'm glad you're a member, sir.
Thanks.
Hey, Stu, November 10th, did you go to a Marine Corps ball?
I had an event in Florida that I was going to, and that's right when one of those storms came through.
Oh.
And so it was like I was supposed to, and then it didn't happen. So the answer is no, but I was supposed to.
I got you.
Well, hopefully you can come.
There's a leatherneck club in Vegas, which I had no idea about. And so in the end of October, I was out in Vegas, and someone's like, "Hey, I know the guy that owns the leatherneck club. You should go check it out." And I've been to Vegas a couple times, never even heard of it. And the guy did a book signing for me. I went to it. I mean, it's amazing. So anyone that's in Vegas, I was blown away. And he was saying for the Marine Corps birthday, at that point, I was only like 10 days away when I was out there at the end of October around Halloween-ish. He was saying he gets like 2,000 people, big names like Dakota Meyer. He went through some Medal of Honor winners. And so next year, I'm thinking about going back out there because that, you got Vegas on the backdrop of that. So it seemed pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you go, let us know, man. I would love
please
to tag along.
Take pictures.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
So, can you walk down the street without people recognizing you?
It's really hard in North Carolina. It was almost impossible, but in Ohio, it's pretty easy.
So, when they do recognize you, how do they receive you? Like, are they dicks to you, or are they like?
Funny you say that. Setting, like I was like, you need security, you need to have a gun. No one has come up to me like at all and been negative, which is just mind blowing. Is based on the amount of negativity that's out there in social media. I mean, I've had maybe 3 guys that have come up to me and been like, "Hey, I disagree with you," but they do it in a respectful way, which that's you're allowed to not agree with everything I'm doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's have a discussion about that.
Yeah.
As long as they're respectful, right? So like no one has come up to me and been disrespectful to my face at all, at any point. And so I think make what you want of that information. If you go on my Twitter, geez, it's like the whole world just wants to rip my head off. You go out in the real world and just everyone's so kind. So I don't know.
Yeah. Isn't social media crazy like that, man? Like if
Especially
you just turn off social media.
Twitter's the worst. I use Twitter specifically because Twitter is the worst.
It's the worst.
It is.
There's a lot of libtards out there, man. I
don't know what it is.
It drives me crazy.
I mean, I don't even use the word libtard. It is just hate. Like they straight up just spew hate, whoever they are.
Yeah, keyboard warriors, man.
Yeah,
they're really good. They're judges. They're doctors. They're subject matter experts. I mean, you got all of them. They're all on Twitter. All of them. Every single one of them.
Yeah. Yep. So I have a good buddy that I was in the Navy with. He's a homicide detective up in Chicago, and he worked the Jussie Smollett case.
Woo!
And man, like what the media did to that case and what really happened when you talk to them, it's like, holy shit, man. The media is out of control.
They are out of control. I
They're
don't even
out of
watch the news
control.
anymore.
Yeah, I can't watch the news. It's so depressing. But I love what Elon Musk is doing, man.
It's hard not to love that.
Hey,
I know.
I'd
So
rather
great.
watch Jack Ryan and John Krasinski because he is a badass motherfucker. All right, that guy, he's gone from The Office to like badass in like, I don't know, 5 years. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I think it's Alyssa Milano is in the news right now.
Oh God,
'Cause
why?
She stepped out and she said, I turned in my Tesla because I cannot own a car from this oppressive leader, blah, 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 blah. So I went and bought a Volkswagen electric
She
vehicle.
said
And
white supremacy.
white supremacy. And she's like, I love this. And everybody's like, you realize that's the product of Adolf Hitler himself. He's what started that company.
Hey, Volkswagen makes a good car. That was my first car, was a Volkswagen. I love it. I miss it.
Yeah, but it's ironic that she used that manufacturer,
because she's dumb, Fleek. They don't do the research. Okay, they just say whatever comes to mind. Sorry, Stu. That was sorry. We need to get back to you. Sorry, that was a little bit of a break.
Yeah, sometimes we curve off the.
It's just sometimes we go off on tangents, and we sometimes go off each other, and it's just we think alike. And I love Fleek. I do. I love you being on this show. I thank you for your service to our beloved Marine Corps. And I got high respect. I got mad respect for you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I love that you stepped up to the man. So did when all this went down, did the White House actually call you, or just your local command took care of it?
No,
they didn't.
No. We did have some congressmen reach out, but they were all Republican. And,
so they supported you?
Yeah, there was a couple.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I'm sure everybody knows what we're talking about, but in Kabul, there was the pullout of Afghanistan was a clusterfuck, and a bomb went off because they were trying to get people out of an airport that wasn't protected, and 183 people were murdered. 13 of them have to have been American service members. So just in case you guys live under a rock. So it baffles me. It completely like, and when you see footage of that, people are jumping off of airplanes as they're taking off. And I don't have no idea what our government was thinking that day. It's mind-boggling. Yeah, it's mind-boggling that nobody else called them out on it. Like, you're literally the only one that's like, hey, what the fuck?
It was just a series of bad decisions, and so nobody wanted it to get to that point. But the problem was they had made so many bad decisions up to that point that's where it ended.
Yeah, and then how many billions of dollars worth of equipment they left behind?
85
billion dollars to the enemy. And then they just took over. It was like everything that America had done over the past 20 years was just erased in one day.
And then we started giving billions of dollars in humanitarian aid to the government of Afghanistan, which was the Taliban.
Crazy, man. That's freaking crazy.
What are your thoughts on the Ukraine situation, sir?
I mean, I could talk for a while on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
Putin,
if you don't want to talk about it, it's okay.
I'll go into it. I think Putin was opportunistic. I think he outwardly says that the expansion of NATO is a threat, and he's consistently said that. I read his national security strategy, for lack of a better term, when I was at command staff, and every page it talks about what an imminent threat NATO is. So they've been beating that drum for a while. And he had annexed Crimea and a couple other places on the border regions leading up to this event, and the fallout of Afghanistan emboldened him. And I think he thought it would be quick, just like all his other incursions were. And when it wasn't, it was a problem. I think he's already strategically lost. I think he has an old style thinking where he believes more land is more power. But right now it's all about shaping the beliefs of the people. And, just looking at like a Sweden and a Finland who now are talking about joining NATO, you can see where he strategically failed in this incursion. But, you know, as much as I want to support democracy, Ukraine is pretty corrupt. Ukraine didn't do anything to defend itself. If you know, I was in the Israeli-Lebanese conflict in 2006. And if you study that one, Israel had overwhelming armor. I invaded Lebanon because Lebanon was shooting at them. Like, who started what doesn't matter. Bottom line is Israel drove into Lebanon with a bunch of armored tanks that were much superior to what Hezbollah had. And Hezbollah completely took it to them because Hezbollah had prepared and had tunnels and had anti-tank weapons. And as soon as those superior Israeli tanks entered, they got messed up. I mean, Ukraine has had 5 years since the annexation of Crimea to build a military defense, and they did nothing. And the reason they did nothing is because of, in my opinion, an incestuous relationship with the people that are in power in America, expecting NATO and people like America to give $100 billion or however much money we've given over the last 6 months. And I just think it's hard to really get behind anything that we're doing right now. And I don't think the way we're handling it is the way to do it. I do agree that we shouldn't be using military forces. And so I'm thankful that President Biden and his administration haven't done anything as stupid as that. That being said, the billions and billions of dollars we're giving doesn't seem to be like a long-term strategy of success either. And so a long answer to say it's complicated.
Right.
So no, I had to ask. My mom is, she didn't want me to ask you, but my mom's been yakking about Russia and Ukraine. I wanted to hear, you know, what an actual person on the ground, what his opinion was. And I can go back to my mom and be like, Mom, this is what Stu said.
Yeah, you go.
Shut up. Sorry, my mom is a big Democrat. I love her to death, and I used to be one. But that all changed when I put on the EGA, which is right here. All right. That's right. I know you have one. I know you have one, Stu.
I don't have a moto tat. I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
See?
Do you have any tattoos?
I don't. Only Marine that doesn't.
Oh, my God.
He's a lieutenant colonel, man. Lieutenant colonels don't get tats.
Hey, I know two people that you're the second person that has no tattoos on his body. And he's infantry. He's 0331, just like me. He has no tattoos. I was like, what's wrong with you? Why don't you have tattoos?
Hey, Stu, when I was reading up on you this morning, these articles, your parents were in a lot of them. So I just wanted to ask, how's Mom and Pa Scheller doing these days?
They're good. Yeah. They're back to normal somewhat. As soon as like I kind of got on my feet, then they have a bunch of vacation rentals in Cape Coral, Florida, and that Hurricane Ian hit them pretty hard. So we had to go down there and help clean up. But they got them back up and running. So they've just had a stressful year and a half, and so they're getting back to normal.
Well, that's good. Everybody get back to normal. That's
do you
awesome.
Have hey, Philippe? Do you have any press? Sorry, my dog is like being very needy. That's why my head keeps on going like this. Do you got any?
I thought you were rubbing one out or something, man.
No. I would not do that. I would not do that for the lieutenant colonel. No. I mean, still, I like you, but I hardly know you, man. Fleek, you got any other? I'm out of questions, so it's kind of like
I think we're good, man. I think we bugged him enough.
Stu, are you good? Do you have anything else that you have any saved rounds, as my gunny used to say?
I'll just say my website is AuthenticAmericans.com. So if you go there, you can order a signed copy of the book. We got some merchandise to donate. The book is Crisis of Command. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it in any bookstore. Crisis of Command, AuthenticAmericans.com. And all my social media is on my website, but it's mostly at Stuart Scheller.
At Stuart Scheller, yes. And
stay
tuned, everybody, because we will have him here in the Nashville area signing books.
Yes, we will. We will. We definitely. Hey, don't doubt us, too. We will do it. We will get this done for you.
Yes.
Between Semper Sliders or something.
Yeah, between myself and
Sliders. Oh yeah, it's great.
Between myself and Combat Chaps here, we pretty much know the tell your veteran community here in Tennessee. So,
You know what? I believe that. So I look forward to it.
yeah, we'll have some. We'll probably even have a couple first sergeants and some gunnies showing up from out of state too.
I got 2 master guns I can call right now.
That'd be cool.
I mean, they're old.
You guys just gotta set it up. I'm saying on camera, I will do it.
Yeah. I'm telling you right now, we're gonna as soon as we hang up, the wheels are in motion, man. We're
calling
gonna
my
do this.
people as soon as I get off the phone.
Yep.
Man,
hey,
no, but Stuart, it's been a pleasure, an honor, and I respect the shit out of you, Semper Fidelis, sir.
And his dog appreciates it too.
I know. I'm sorry. Hey, shush.
All right, Mr. Scheller. Thanks for coming on with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
Yes, sir.
See you, sir.
Thank you. Take care.
Hurrah. Baron!